She let you go, but she never thought you would actually let her go too. She expected tears. She expected confusion. Maybe even a desperate attempt to win her back, because that's what most people do when they're rejected. They cling, they chase, they break themselves trying to rebuild what was never meant to last. But not you. You stood still, you watched the storm but didn't let it sweep you away. And that silence, that calm, that's what changed everything. The truth is, she didn't leave because you weren't enough. She left because she thought you'd always be there. She assumed her absence would create chaos in your world, that your self-worth depended on her attention. But when you didn't crumble, when you didn't beg, when you didn't run after her, that's when reality hit her harder than any breakup ever could. Understand this: when you can let go of someone who walked away, you show that your foundation isn't built on approval, it's built on strength. That's rare. That's dangerous. Because most people live their lives addicted to validation. They can't breathe unless someone tells them they matter. But you decided to breathe on your own. And that's what makes you unstoppable. The moment you stop chasing what left is the moment you start attracting what's real. You don't grow through attachment, you grow through acceptance. Letting go doesn't mean you stopped caring. It means you started respecting yourself more than your pain. It means you finally understood that peace is more valuable than closure. When she left, you had a choice: break down or break through. And you chose the latter. You used silence as strength. You used solitude as training. You turned heartbreak into discipline. That's what separates the weak from the strong, not emotion, but what they do with it. The weak drown in emotion. The strong refine it into focus. There comes a time in every man's life when losing something becomes the best teacher. That loss exposes what comfort concealed. It shows you where your self-worth truly lies. Was it in her words, her presence, or was it within you the entire time, waiting for this moment to be discovered? Because here's the reality: when you stop chasing, you become the one who's chased. When you stop needing, you become the one needed. When you stop trying to prove, you become the proof. That's not arrogance, that's self-respect. And that's what she didn't expect. She thought you'd crumble without her, but instead, you evolved. You started walking taller, thinking clearer, moving smarter. You began to live like a man who knows that peace is more attractive than desperation, that silence speaks louder than words, that walking away is sometimes the loudest roar you'll ever make. You see, strength isn't loud, it's quiet. It's the kind of quiet that unsettles people who once had power over you. They can't understand how you moved on without closure, how you found happiness without their permission. But that's because they never knew your strength, they only knew your softness. And once you learned how to protect that softness with boundaries, you became unshakable. When you stop explaining yourself, stop justifying your worth, stop negotiating your peace, you step into a version of yourself that can't be manipulated anymore. That's when you become truly dangerous, not because you hurt others, but because you no longer allow others to hurt you. She let you go because she thought you'd chase her. She thought she'd still hold space in your mind. But when you turned that space into purpose, when you replaced overthinking with improvement, when you became someone even you respect, that's when the game changed. Remember this: your greatest revenge is not showing her what she lost, but showing yourself what you gained. Growth, focus, power, direction. The kind of man who doesn't crumble when someone leaves, but stands taller, stronger, wiser. Because letting go isn't weakness, it's the highest form of control. It's saying, I choose peace over pain, I choose purpose over pity, I choose me, and that choice echoes louder than any words could. So let her wonder, let her scroll through your silence, let her feel the absence of your energy. Because what she'll realize far too late is that when a man truly lets go, there's no coming back. You didn't just lose her, you found yourself. And that's the kind of victory no heartbreak can ever take away. Emotional detachment is power. Not the cold, lifeless kind that builds walls, but the kind that gives you control over your mind, your peace, and your reactions. The kind that says, I can feel deeply, but I will not be ruled by what I feel. That is strength. That is emotional mastery. Most people confuse detachment with indifference. They think it means not caring, but the truth is far sharper. It means caring selectively. It means choosing where your energy goes and refusing to let temporary emotions dictate permanent actions. It means you no longer let the storms outside determine the weather within. See, emotional detachment doesn't mean you don't love. It means you love without losing yourself. It doesn't mean you don't feel pain. It means you don't let pain define your identity. It's the moment you realize that peace is not found in control over others, but in control over your own reactions. That's where real power begins, not in dominating someone else, but in mastering yourself. There's a difference between reacting and responding. Reaction is emotional chaos. It's impulsive, defensive, desperate. But response is built on awareness and composure. Detachment trains you to pause, to breathe, to think before you give away your energy. It's like standing in a storm, watching the thunder crash, but remaining still because you know you can't stop the storm, but you can stop it from entering you. You gain nothing by being emotionally reactive. Every time someone provokes you and you respond with anger or desperation, you hand them control over your peace. But when you stay calm, when you refuse to be baited, you send a message louder than words. I'm not accessible through chaos. And that message is what makes you untouchable. The world respects composure. It fears silence. Because silence means you can't be manipulated. When you no longer need to argue, to explain, to prove, you've already won. Detachment makes you unpredictable, and unpredictability is a form of dominance. People can't control what they can't read, and they can't manipulate what doesn't react. Think about it, every great leader, every wise person you've ever admired, they all mastered the art of calm. They didn't get there by suppressing emotion, but by understanding it. Detachment isn't numbness, it's discipline. It's the ability to say, I see what's happening, I acknowledge it, but I will not let it own me. When you detach, you start to see patterns clearly. You stop chasing validation. You stop fighting for attention that doesn't deserve your effort. You stop bleeding energy into situations that are designed to drain you. Suddenly, what used to shake you no longer even gets a reaction. Not because you stopped caring, but because you grew beyond needing their approval. The moment you stop taking things personally, life changes. You realize that most people's behavior is a reflection of them, not you. Their anger, their manipulation, their inconsistency. None of it is your burden to carry. Emotional detachment frees you from the illusion that you must fix, chase, or prove. You simply exist in peace, and that peace becomes your power. It's in detachment that focus sharpens. When your emotions no longer drag you in every direction, your mind becomes laser clear. You see what matters. You execute with discipline. You stop living in reaction to others and start living in alignment with purpose. That's how people rise, not through control of others, but through control of self. When you can walk away from chaos without needing closure, that's mastery. When you can stay silent instead of defending your worth, that's power. When you can feel emotion without being consumed by it, that's evolution. Emotional detachment is not about isolation, it's about liberation. It's the quiet revolution inside you that says, my peace is not negotiable. It's realizing that not every battle deserves your sword and not every person deserves your energy. You stop chasing explanations. You stop replaying conversations. You stop needing to be understood. Because when you're detached, understanding yourself is enough. And when you understand yourself, no one can confuse you again. You become solid, not because life gets easier, but because you stopped letting it shake you. Detachment gives you the calm that chaos cannot touch, the stillness that noise cannot disrupt, and the strength that rejection cannot destroy. Emotional detachment is not weakness. It's the highest form of emotional intelligence. It's the point where you can love without attachment, give without expectation, and walk away without resentment. That's when you realize control is not foo. ND in holding tighter, it's found in letting go. So stay calm, stay grounded. Don't let emotions make decisions your logic will regret. Feel deeply but act wisely. Care but don't cling. Love but never lose yourself. Because in this world full of noise, the one who can remain still, the one who can remain emotionally detached, is the one who holds the real power. Pain is a signal, not a prison. It's not a life sentence. It's a message, one that demands to be understood, not feared. Pain doesn't come to destroy you, it comes to wake you up. It's the universe's way of saying, something has to change. You can either listen to it and evolve, or ignore it and stay stuck in the same cycle. The choice is always yours. Too many people wear their pain like an identity. They rehearse it, relive it, repeat it, until it becomes the only language they speak. But pain was never meant to be a home, it was meant to be a teacher. When you stay inside it too long, it turns into a cage, and no one becomes strong by decorating their cage. They become strong by breaking it. Pain has a purpose. It reveals your limits and then dares you to exceed them. It exposes where you're still fragile, where your boundaries are too weak, where your confidence still depends on something external. Every heartbreak, every betrayal, every loss, it all carries data. And that data is power if you're willing to decode it instead of drowning in it. You see, growth doesn't happen in comfort. It happens when you hit a wall and realize you were the one holding yourself back. Pain tears down the illusions you built to keep yourself safe. It forces honesty. It strips away excuses. It says, here's who you really are when everything you relied on falls apart. And that version of you, the one who stands up after breaking, that's your real identity. Pain is the initiation to strength. You can't build emotional muscle without emotional resistance. Just like the body grows under pressure, the mind grows under struggle. Every time you endure something that once would have destroyed you, you prove to yourself that you're evolving. That's why pain is not punishment, it's preparation. The danger is when people mistake pain for destiny. They think because they've suffered, they must stay there. But the truth is, pain is only permanent when you keep feeding it. The more you replay the wound, the deeper it gets. The more you tell yourself the story of what went wrong, the harder it becomes to believe that something can go right. You can't heal by holding on. You can't grow by staying hurt. When pain comes, don't suppress it, study it. Ask what it's teaching you. Maybe it's showing you that you gave too much to people who gave too little. Maybe it's teaching you to set standards, to stop confusing attachment with love. Or maybe it's teaching you patience, the kind that refines your soul before it rewards your life. Whatever its message, you must learn it, not live inside it. Pain will always introduce you to your truth. It removes illusions about people, about life, about yourself. It shows you who stands with you when everything collapses and who only stood with you when it was convenient. It shows you how much of your happiness was borrowed and how much was truly yours. And once you see that, you can never go back to being blind again. There's power in that clarity, because when you understand your pain, it can't control you anymore. It becomes a reference, not a residence. You look at it, you learn from it, and you move forward. That's maturity. That's growth. The ones who rise after pain don't deny what happened, they redefine it. They turn heartbreak into hunger. They turn loss into leverage. They turn rejection into redirection. Because when you stop asking, why did this happen to me? And start asking, what is this trying to teach me? Everything changes. Pain turns from enemy to ally. You can't avoid pain, but you can decide its meaning. You can let it make you bitter or make you better. You can let it shrink your spirit or sharpen your mind. You can let it close your heart or open your eyes. The difference is in how you interpret the message. And when you learn to read pain correctly, it becomes a compass. It points you toward healing, toward purpose, toward power. You start realizing that every scar is a story of survival proof that you went through something meant to break you and walked out stronger. That realization alone is enough to destroy fear. So when life hurts, don't numb it. Don't run from it. Sit with it, listen to it, and then rise from it. Because pain will not leave until it's done teaching you. Once you've learned the lesson, it releases you. That's how healing works, not by forgetting, but by understanding. Remember, pain is not a punishment. It's feedback. It's your body, your heart, your soul saying, this path no longer serves you. It's not there to hold you hostage, but to set you free if you stop resisting and start listening. You can't control what hurt you, but you can control what it creates in you. Let it build focus. Let it build resilience. Let it build a version of yourself that no longer fears the fall because you've already been at the bottom and survived. Pain is a signal. It's telling you move, grow, evolve. Don't let it become your cage. Don't make a home out of a lesson. Learn what you must, then let it go, because you are not what happened to you. You are what you decided to become after it. Still, resist the pull to prove, explain, or defend that when you know you've evolved past the need for validation. Stillness is not weakness, it's precision. It's focus sharpened by patience. It's the ability to wait without wasting energy. People who can't sit still, who need to fill every gap with words, distractions, or drama, they fear their own depth. Because stillness forces you to face yourself. It exposes your restlessness, your insecurities, your fears. But the moment you stop running from that silence, it becomes your weapon. Stillness doesn't mean inaction. It means controlled action movement guided by awareness, not emotion. It's the difference between reacting and responding. Reaction is impulsive, response is intelligent. The one who can wait, observe, and move with intention, that person becomes untouchable. Because while everyone else is busy making noise, you're studying the pattern. You're preparing your next move with clarity instead of chaos. When you can sit still, you start to see things others miss. You see motives. You see energy. You see truth. Because the mind that's calm is like clear water. It reflects everything accurately. But the mind that's disturbed, the one that can't stop reacting, sees everything distorted. That's why stillness is not just strength, it's vision, it's wisdom, it's power disguised as peace. The loudest person in the room rarely has control. They're often the one trying hardest to keep it. Real dominance is silent, it's subtle, it's the quiet confidence that doesn't need to announce itself, because when you know what you are, you don't need to prove it. Stillness makes you unpredictable. No one can read you, no one can manipulate you, no one can throw you off balance because you've mastered your internal world. You can't control people, you can't control outcomes, but you can control your composure. And that composure is your greatest leverage. The person who remains still when others panic has already won, because emotion clouds judgment, but stillness sharpens it. Think of the strongest trees. They don't move with every wind that blows. They bend slightly, but their roots keep them grounded. That's what stillness is, inner rootedness. You don't need to chase peace when you are peace. You don't need to demand respect when your energy commands it naturally. Stillness teaches patience. It teaches timing. Every great warrior, every great thinker, every great creator. They all understood that rushing weakens precision. The impatient break before the finish line. The calm endure, and because of that endurance, they dominate. Stillness isn't about slowing down, it's about choosing when to move. It's controlled speed. When you master stillness, you stop reacting to disrespect. You stop fighting battles that don't deserve your attention. You stop explaining your worth to those who can't see it. You start protecting your energy like it's sacred because it is. Stillness is knowing that silence often says more than argument ever could. People who operate from stillness aren't cold, they're focused. They've been through chaos before, they've been broken, disappointed, misunderstood, and they learn that not every storm deserves their reaction. They've learned that peace is power and composure is armor. When you stay still, the storm passes and you're still standing. That's strength. Stillness builds unshakable confidence. It's the understanding that you don't need to rush results. You don't need to chase attention. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. You trust the process because you trust yourself. The one who can wait is the one who knows his worth. The one who can be silent is the one who knows his truth. And yes, people may misinterpret your stillness. They might call it indifference, arrogance, or detachment. Let them. That's not your burden to correct, because stillness isn't about perception, it's about peace. It's not about looking strong, it's about being strong. Stillness isn't passive, it's the foundation from which all powerful action is born. The arrow can only fly because the bow was first pulled back in stillness. The storm ends, and what remains unmoved, that's the essence of power. So don't rush, don't react. Don't let every noise demand your energy. Stay centered, stay composed. The world will try to provoke you, distract you, and pull you into battles that waste your power. But when you remain still, when you can observe without absorbing, you rise above it all. Stillness is not the absence of movement, it's the mastery of it. It's the understanding that your calm is your control, that your peace is your greatest flex. That silence, when used with intention, can echo louder than any shout ever could. Stay still, stay grounded. Watch the chaos, but don't join it. Feel the emotion, but don't drown in it. Listen, but don't react. Because the man or woman who can remain still in a world addicted to noise, that's the one who owns the room, commands respect, and shapes destiny. Stillness is strength, the kind that doesn't shout, doesn't chase, doesn't crumble, the kind that simply is. Letting go is the final revenge. Not the revenge that screams, not the one that tries to prove a point, but the kind that speaks through peace, the kind that says, I no longer need you to lose for me to win. Because real power is not in retaliation, it's in release. When you let go, you take back everything that pain tried to control in you. They expected you to chase, they expected you to argue, to beg, to prove your worth. But when you walked away quietly, when you didn't need to explain, when you didn't try to make them understand, that's when you truly won. Because silence unsettles people who once had control over your emotions. It makes them realize that your peace no longer depends on their presence. That's the kind of revenge that leaves a mark deeper than any words ever could. Letting go is not weakness, it's mastery. It's standing in the ruins of what hurt you and saying, I don't need to rebuild this, I need to rebuild me. Most people don't have that courage. They stay attached to what broke them, hoping it will eventually fix them. But you can't heal in the same place that made you bleed. Letting go is refusing to stay stuck in the story that no longer deserves your energy. You don't let go because you stopped caring, you let go because you started respecting yourself. You finally understood that peace is more valuable than closure and silence is more powerful than explanation. You realized that you don't owe anyone your suffering, that not every wound deserves your time, and that sometimes walking away is the loudest statement you can make. People think revenge means hurting them back, but what hurts them most is your absence, your evolution, your unbothered energy. When you rise without resentment, when you move on without bitterness, when you build without needing to be seen, that's when they start to understand what they lost. Because while they were trying to test your worth, you were busy finding it. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It means releasing the emotional hold that memory had over you. It means the past no longer dictates your peace. It means you can look back without flinching because you've taken the lesson and left the pain behind. That's freedom. And that freedom, that calm indifference, is what they never saw coming. Letting go is emotional discipline. It's the ability to say, I won't fight for what doesn't fight for me. It's walking away, not because you gave up, but because you're done giving energy to what drains you. That's not loss, that's strategy. Because the strongest move isn't always confrontations, sometimes it's distance. Think about it, they can't play games if you stop showing up to the field. They can't manipulate your emotions if you no longer react. They can't haunt you if you stop revisiting what hurt you. The moment you stop feeding chaos, it starves. That's the secret most people never learn. Peace is the most devastating form of revenge. When you let go, you shift from emotion to elevation. You stop trying to be understood by those committed to misunderstanding you. You stop explaining your heart to people who never earned access to it. You stop fighting battles that cost you your sanity, and suddenly you realize winning doesn't mean being right, it means being free. Letting go doesn't mean apathy, it means awareness. It's realizing that no one is coming to save you, that closure is something you give yourself, and that the most powerful words you can ever say are, "I'm done." Because that's when you stop living for approval and start living for peace. You can't hold on to resentment and expect to heal. You can't keep replaying pain and expect peace to grow. At some point, you have to choose what deserves to live in your mind. Letting go is that choice. It's the decision to remove your energy from what disrespected it. It's emotional self-respect in its purest form. The truth is, the more you try to prove your worth, the more you hand your power away. But when you let go, and you stop reacting, when you stop chasing explanations, that's when you reclaim your authority. People who expected you to fall apart now have to watch you rise in silence. And that sight, that quiet transformation is the revenge that speaks for itself. Letting go is not forgetting who hurt you, it's remembering who you are without that hurt. It's choosing peace even when chaos tempts you. It's choosing dignity over desperation. It's saying, I will not lower myself just to be seen by someone who couldn't value me when I was already standing tall. It's strength disguised as surrender. It's the kind of surrender that doesn't mean defeat, it means direction. Because the moment you let go, your energy returns to you, your focus sharpens, your purpose becomes louder than your pain, and that's when you stop surviving and start living. You see, revenge wants them to hurt, but letting go, that makes them irrelevant. It's saying, you no longer have a seat in my mind, and when someone loses emotional access to you, they've truly lost. So let them talk, let them wonder, let them feel the silence you once filled. Because nothing haunts a person more than realizing they no longer have the power to disturb your peace. That's the final revenge serenity. Don't waste time trying to make them see your value. Live it. Don't prove them wrong. Just become someone their opinion could never touch again. Let go, rise higher, and never look back. Because the one who moves on without hatred, without noise, without fear, is the one who's already won. Letting go isn't losing. It's liberation. It's reclaiming your power, your energy, and your peace. And that is the final revenge.